ADX Florence sits in a high desert valley in southern Colorado, far from major cities and far from public view. It is the most secure prison operated by the federal government. Its official name is the United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility. It exists for one reason: to permanently control people the system has determined cannot be managed anywhere else. If stories like this matter to you, consider subscribing, because understanding how this system works requires sustained attention, not quick reactions. The prison opens in 1994 after a series of violent incidents inside other federal facilities. The Bureau of Prisons concludes that some inmates pose risks that ordinary high-security prisons cannot contain. Escapes, murders of staff, and coordinated violence inside prisons drive that decision. ADX Florence is designed as an answer to those failures. It is not built for rehabilitation. It is built for isolation. The location is deliberate. The facility is surrounded by open land and distant mountains. The nearest towns are small. There are no urban centers nearby. The remoteness reduces outside contact and limits logistical vulnerabilities. The prison itself is constructed almost entirely from poured concrete and reinforced steel. Every design choice favors control over comfort. Each inmate is housed alone. The standard cell measures roughly 7 by 12 feet. The bed is concrete. The desk is concrete. The stool is concrete. The sink and toilet are stainless steel and combined into a single unit. The door is solid, with a narrow slot for food trays. There are no bars. There is no window to another cell. The only window faces the sky. Inmates spend approximately 23 hours per day inside these cells. The remaining hour is allocated for exercise or showering. Even that time is controlled and isolated. Movement is scheduled and supervised. Inmates are restrained whenever they leave their cells. Contact with other inmates is prevented by design. Communication between prisoners is nearly impossible. Cells are separated to prevent conversation. Sound does not travel easily through the thick concrete. The architecture eliminates shared spaces. There are no communal dining halls. Meals are delivered through the door slot. Food arrives on trays. Interaction with staff is minimal and procedural. Exercise takes place alone. In many cases, it occurs in a small concrete enclosure often described as an outdoor cage. The space allows access to fresh air but not to other people. The walls are high. The view is limited. The purpose is movement, not recreation. ADX Florence operates under the highest security classification in the federal prison system. Placement is not based solely on the crime that led to conviction. It is based on behavior, threat assessments, and prior conduct inside other prisons. Many inmates arrive after committing serious acts of violence while already incarcerated. The population includes convicted terrorists, organized crime leaders, and individuals responsible for mass violence. It also includes inmates who attacked or killed correctional officers in other facilities. Some are sentenced to life without parole. Others are serving extremely long sentences. For many, ADX Florence becomes their final placement. The process of transfer is administrative, not judicial. Inmates do not receive new sentences when moved to ADX. The Bureau of Prisons makes the decision through internal review. While there are procedures for appeal, placement often remains in effect for years. In some cases, it lasts for decades. Life inside ADX follows strict routine. Lights are controlled. Meals arrive at set times. Showers are scheduled. The environment is quiet. The absence of noise is intentional. It reduces communication and limits coordination. The silence becomes part of the system. Medical and mental health services exist but are delivered within the same restrictive framework. Appointments occur inside secure rooms. Contact is limited. Evaluations are brief. The structure prioritizes safety over therapeutic engagement. Critics argue that this environment undermines effective treatment. Solitary confinement is the defining feature of ADX Florence. inmates experience prolonged isolation measured in years, not days. Human contact is limited to brief interactions with staff. Family visits are rare and highly controlled. Communication occurs through thick glass, if it occurs at all. Supporters of the facility argue that such measures are necessary. They point to the extreme danger posed by the population. They argue that ADX prevents prison violence and protects staff and other inmates. From this perspective, isolation is a tool of containment. Critics take a different view. Human rights organizations, legal scholars, and mental health professionals raise concerns about the psychological effects of long-term isolation. They cite studies linking prolonged solitary confinement to anxiety, depression, cognitive decline, and other mental health problems. They argue that the conditions amount to psychological harm. Lawsuits challenge these practices. Some cases result in settlements or policy adjustments. The Bureau of Prisons maintains that conditions comply with constitutional standards. Courts often defer to prison administrators on matters of security. The legal debate continues, but the core structure of ADX remains unchanged. The prison operates with a step-down program. In theory, inmates can progress to less restrictive units through sustained compliance and behavior. This process is slow and tightly controlled. Advancement requires years of incident-free conduct. Even then, movement out of ADX is not guaranteed. For many inmates, release from ADX does not mean release from prison. It often means transfer to another high-security facility. The transition remains isolating, though less extreme. For others, especially those with life sentences, ADX remains the end point. The staff who work at ADX are trained for high-risk environments. Their routines emphasize caution and procedure. Interaction with inmates is limited by policy. Personal engagement is discouraged. Every movement is documented. Every deviation is investigated. The prison's design reflects a philosophy. Control is achieved through architecture, routine, and isolation. The system reduces the need for force by limiting opportunity. Violence is prevented by separation. Order is maintained through structure rather than negotiation. ADX Florence rarely appears in public discourse. It does not host tours. Media access is extremely limited. Information comes from official statements, court records, and occasional reporting. The facility operates largely outside public view. This invisibility is part of its function. The prison is meant to be out of sight. It holds people the system has decided cannot exist safely within normal institutional settings. Once placed here, inmates are removed from the broader prison population and from society at large. The question of purpose remains. ADX Florence does not aim to rehabilitate in the conventional sense. Programs are limited. Education exists but is restricted. Opportunities for social development are minimal. The primary objective is containment. From a policy perspective, ADX represents a boundary. It marks the point at which the system prioritizes security above all other considerations. It is the final option when other forms of control fail. Supporters argue that without such a facility, the federal prison system would face greater violence and instability. They view ADX as necessary, if unpleasant. Critics argue that the cost is too high, both financially and ethically. They question whether permanent isolation aligns with democratic values. The debate extends beyond ADX Florence. It reflects broader questions about punishment, safety, and human rights. How a society treats its most dangerous prisoners reveals how it defines justice. ADX offers a clear answer. Safety comes first. Everything else is secondary. The prison continues to operate much as it did when it opened. Technology updates occur. Policies adjust at the margins. The core structure remains intact. Single cells. Limited movement. Near total isolation. For the inmates inside, time moves differently. Days follow identical patterns. There are few markers of change. Seasons pass without visible difference. Years accumulate quietly. ADX Florence stands as a symbol. It represents the extreme end of incarceration in the United States. It is not designed to inspire fear or redemption. It is designed to function. When the federal system reaches its limit, this is where it sends people. The logic is straightforward. Remove risk by removing contact. Maintain order by eliminating interaction. Solve the problem by sealing it away. ADX Florence does not promise improvement. It promises control. It is the place where the system concludes that nothing else will work. And in that conclusion, it reveals the outer edge of American incarceration. If you think this story was intense, the next one will leave you speechless. Subscribe for more true crime stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat.